All right, welcome back. So, last video we were just talking about how, or not how, we were talking about what you can do with z-scores. And in this video, I'm going to show you one example of how to use those z-scores. Okay, that's what I meant here. Okay, so in this question, I'm going to be comparing scores from two different distributions. Okay, now that sounds complicated, but here's really what it's saying. And I'll just read out this example so you can kind of get an idea of what's going on. So you are an aspiring physician who just took the MCAT. Your friend, who is an aspiring lawyer, took the LSAT. Okay, so two different tests on two different scales, right? But they're both trying to do the same thing, right? Essentially. So both of you decide to go get a couple of drinks to go celebrate. As you're sitting there, both your phones buzz, indicating you got an email with your test scores at the same time. That's wild. You might think, you might think that these questions are long and drawn out. I am trying to build a world here, so just bear with me. Okay, so before you check, your friend suggests that whoever has the lowest relative score has to buy the next round. That's a pretty good deal, I think. So you agree and you break out a piece of paper and a pencil to work out some math. And then we have all the information below, and we're just trying to figure out who's going to buy the next round of drinks. Easy enough, right? Easy enough. So we've done this before, but now we're sort of working with two different populations and comparing the best relative score, right? Not the absolute score. Because if we see here, my score on the MCAT, or I guess your score on the MCAT was 514. The LSAT score, your friend's LSAT score was 161. Well, now 514 is a bigger number than 161, obviously, but they're two different tests, right? And they're scaled differently. So the location, the center of the distribution, whatever it looks like, is going to be different in both of these, right? Thankfully, we have this tool, z-scores, to figure out how far away we each were from the respective means here, okay? So let's just do it. Pause the video and try it yourself first. I encourage you to do that. But if you want to see me do it, then let's get into it. So let's recall that the z-score formula is x minus, in this case we have mu, so we'll just stick with mu, divided by the standard deviation there. Okay, so that's easy enough. We've been doing this now for forever, it seems, or at least I bet that's what you think, which is fine. Good to get practice. So let's just crank it out. So for the MCAT, and I'll draw a division here so we don't get mixed up. Okay, so for the MCAT, my score was, or I guess your score was 514, and the mean is 500. So already I know I'm above the mean in some way. We just don't know by how much yet. And then divided by the standard deviation. Okay, so that is, let's see, that's 14 minus, or 14 divided by 9.3. Let me get my calculator out here. Again, I'm just using my phone. Don't need anything too fancy. All right. So that equals 1.505. So we'll round that up to 1.51. So that's fine. So that's saying that I'm 1.51 standard deviations above the mean relative to here, right? And let's do it again. Let's do it again for the LSAT. Okay. So then that score was 161. And then the population was 151. And we want to divide by the standard deviation. Easy enough. All right. So 161 minus 150, that's 10. Divided by 19. Let me get the old calculator out. Okay. So that is, let's see, 0.526. So we'll round that up to 0.53. Okay. And now we know who scored relatively better, right? And it's you. Good job. You scored relatively better. So you are 1.51 standard deviations away from the mean, whereas your lawyer friend, is only 0.53 standard deviations away from the mean. So who's going to be buying drinks? Sorry, but it's your friend. It's your friend, and that's it. So that is what we're used to seeing. Easy enough. But in this case, we are comparing two different populations rather than the same population. Okay. So that's that. that is that. So if you have any questions, let me know. I encourage you to work through this too. Even maybe try changing this. If you've taken the MCAT before the LSAT, maybe put your own score in there and see where you fell on the Z distribution. Okay, so that's that. I'll pause the video and we'll move on to the next example.